to Create Your Own Economy with Bunmi Ajibade, the podcast that empowers corporate professionals ready to break free and transition into entrepreneurship with confidence and clarity, as well as business owners looking to grow and scale their businesses. If you're exhausted from building other people's dreams, leaving you little time or energy to focus on what truly matters to you, you are in the right place. Each week, we provide actionable strategies, expert interviews, and real-life success stories to help you turn your ideas into thriving business. Ready to take bold, clear steps toward life and business you deserve? Let's get started. Have you ever wondered what sets successful people apart from others? Success doesn't happen by accident. It's all about mindsets and habits. You can adopt mindset and strategies of successful people and transform your life and your business. Welcome, I am your host, Bunmi Ajibade, and in today's episode, we are joined again by my friend, Anza Goodbar, author of Influence Her, Fearless Branding for Women. She's going to talk about how you can set yourself up for success in the new year by thinking like successful people. This is amazing. This is amazing. And whether you want to start a business or you want to scale your business, the right mindset can make all the difference. You can think like a successful person, or you can think like a defeated person. And I assume you want to think like a successful person. And if you feel like your business is not going right, you want to listen to what Anza is going to say so that you can change that mindset and you begin to think like successful people. It does not mean that successful people don't have issues. It doesn't mean that their business is all good every time, but there's a way they think. There's a way they carry themselves, and it shows in their business. So I want to welcome you again, Anza. Welcome to Create Your Own Economy podcast.
Thank you for having me back, Bunmi.
Yes. And let me also quickly say something about my very good friend, Anza Goodbar. She's a 12-time best-selling author, a business strategist, and Influence Her digital marketing solutions founder. At Influence Her, at the heart of everything they do at the company, they equip women entrepreneurs with the tools, resources, and unwavering support they need to thrive in the digital landscape. They collaborate with their clients to understand their vision, their goals and challenges, and they develop tailored digital marketing strategies that can drive results for their clients. And as pioneers of innovation, they are constantly exploring new ideas and technology and trends to deliver cutting-edge solutions that will keep their clients ahead of the curve. And they are more than a digital marketing agency because they are your trusted partners and ally in your quest for growth and success. And they understand the challenges because she has been in business also. She has gone through she has been in so many businesses, and she has also, she has failed in one business or two, and she has learned and she has been successful in so many businesses herself. and she understands the challenges that women-led small businesses face in the digital world, and her goal is to help you navigate and conquer those challenges with confidence and expertise. And they will support you every step of the way. And in her latest book, Influence Her, The Fearless Branding for Women, that book is a game changer for women ready to elevate their personal brands and stand out in a crowded marketplace. Again, welcome to this new episode. And thank you for coming back.
Thank you again for having me.
Yes, so let's dive into how to shift the thinking and really take actionable steps towards success in the new year, especially setting oneself up for success in the new year, especially if one is coming from a year where they didn't meet up all the goals. So, and setting up themselves up for success in the new year can be daunting, right? So now thinking about how successful people think, because successful people, most of the time, they too didn't meet up all their goals, right? But there's a way they think that is different from every other person. So, what is the mindset of a successful person? What is in their mind? Could you help us with that?
Sure. Well, I'm taking all of this straight from John Maxwell's book, How Successful People Think.
Yes.
Because there is so much gold and wisdom inside of that book. And, before I read that book, I never thought about the different ways we can think, especially as leaders. And so when we're looking at growing our business, when we're looking at setting our goals, having time to think in a particular way is really important. And I'm going to kind of back up a little bit with, the way we think, the habits that we use, those create the life we have, the business we're growing, right? And so when we look at successful people, what do they do differently than ordinary people? One is they have a morning routine. Most of them belong to the 5 o'clock club. They're up at 5 o'clock before the world gets busy, and they are knocking out the things that are super important to them in their day. That could be exercise for self-care. It could be reading, because successful people are always learning, right? So it might be meditation or prayer. It might be hitting that email box and getting all those things done before all of the craziness that happens when the rest of the world wakes up, starts to interfere with our best laid plans. So when we think about thinking, people are like, well, don't we just do that automatically every day? What do you mean I need to schedule time to think, Anza? That is crazy talk, right? But what I recommend is that at the end of every week, you schedule some time. You light a candle, you get a cup of tea, you put on some nice relaxing music, and you get out your journal. And you get rid of all of the noise that's going on in your life. And you sit with your journal and you think. You reflect on what happened this past week. What did you do well? What could you have done better? What should you stop doing? What should you start doing? What did you learn this week? Who are you grateful for this week? What goals did you achieve this week? Because in our last episode, we talked about breaking our goals down into weekly segments. So right there, you're holding yourself accountable. So this is a really great tool, again, to hold yourself accountable by writing in a business journal. This is what's going on. And it doesn't have to be pages and pages. It can be bullet points. It's the exercise that's really important. So after you've sat and you've reflected for a while, you may want to engage big picture thinking. It's like, okay, there were some things that didn't go as well as they could have. So let's look down into our business from a bird's eye view, and let's examine things right there instead of being deep in my business where maybe I have some blinders on. I can look down into my business and I can look at things objectively, right? And so that's another really good way that we can sit and think with a purpose, right? We don't want to just sit and, oh, yeah, well, the clouds are moving, the trees are blowing, the leaves are falling. No, you're intentional about what you're looking at, right? This is the purpose of what I'm thinking. I'm not just letting my mind wander. The other way that I think is really important is creative thinking. Again, why didn't something work? Let's think outside of the box. What can I do differently? Who can I bring in? Which brings up collaborative thinking, right? So who do I need to bring into my network? Who do I need to bring onto my team? What does that even look like? Because then you start to bring in other perspectives into your business, and you're able to look at things from an entirely different point of view, because somebody might see something from their point of view that you hadn't considered yet, that could solve a problem that you're dealing with when I can't just get over. You might find yourself thinking popular thinking. Well, this is how everyone else is doing their business. I guess I need to follow along. You might discover, you know what? I shouldn't be following along. I need a tailored solution for what I'm doing, for my business, for my goals, for the way I like to work, for the people that I am serving, right? And so I think it's really important to be able to, and those are just some of my favorite ways of thinking out of the book. But I think one that's really worth keying in on is unselfish thinking. So many entrepreneurs that I work with who are building the brand, they want to make it about them. I know that my client needs this. I want this for my client, right? No, we want to think from the client's point of view. This is the transformation they want. This is the problem they believe they have. This is what they believe that they need to solve that problem, right? This is the pain point that they're having, rather than, well, I know if they show up with this is what they really need. No. So when you're looking at things that didn't work, was it because you were looking at it from your perspective, or was it because you were looking at it through their lens? And so I think that's really important when you're spending time each week thinking. And you may choose one type of thinking when you sit down. You might find that there's 2 or 3 different kinds of thinking that really make you move that needle forward in your business.
Wow. Look, I mean, we are both John Maxwell coaches, so we have read that book several times. And,
yes.
and we are so blessed to have a man of wisdom pour into us. And we will, we will encourage you. If you have not read that book, let it be a book that you would choose to read, maybe end of the year or in 2025. Thank you so much for that. How successful people think. The big word there is think. They think. And the thinking is intentional. And they don't just sit down and just wonder. They're intentional about the thinking. So we encourage you to really go into the book and see how you can help your thinking and see how successful people think. And the first part of what you said, morning routine, it is so critical. Some of us are struggling with that because some people are not morning people.
Right.
So when we say morning routine, and somebody might be telling us, Anza, I'm not a morning person. So if you say somebody should do something at 5 o'clock, I sleep at 1 a.m. or at 2 a.m., my day starts at 9. Can they also figure their own time out?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Really, it's about getting it on your calendar and committing to it, making that time non-negotiable. If your time is at 9 o'clock at night, because that's when your brain can quiet down and you can block out all the other things that are going on in the world, do an evening routine. If you have a schedule where you can block out the lunch hour and maybe you go run at lunch, you can run and think at the same time. You can. And I have a client who the more she needs to process, the more she runs. She runs like 20 miles a week, and that's her time. And then she comes back and she journals out what conclusions she came to. And so I think it's really important to be able to put something in your regular routine that's going to work for you. Hal Elrod wrote a book called The Miracle Morning, and he has a miracle morning for entrepreneurs, for women, and all kinds of different ones. They're all very similar. Many years ago, I read The Miracle Morning, and that's what really got me up and going. I'm a morning person. And so I'm typically up around 4:45, 5 o'clock every morning. That is my time. If I'm not reading a book, I'll listen to 1 or 2 chapters on tape, right? I can do yoga while I'm listening to a book on tape. I can get out my journal and I can write about what I'm learning while I'm listening to the book on tape, right? Just like planning your day. Some people like to get up in the morning and plan out whatever is on their calendar for the day. Some people do it the night before. At the end of the day, they'll take a little bit of time and say, okay, I didn't get this and this and this done. I need to carry that over. Oh, I need to reschedule this meeting. You look at your calendar, you see what's going on. What do I need to do to prep for these things? You create your list, and then, you're good to go. So I would say really look at the way that you like to work, and then craft a plan that's going to work for you, and start small. Don't feel like, oh my gosh, you're telling me I have to journal, I have to read, I have to exercise, I have to pray. What? Are you kidding me? I don't have enough time. Choose one thing. Every day I commit to 20 minutes of exercise, right? Every day I'm going to commit to getting up and standing around and moving between meetings. Every day I'm going to learn something new. Maybe that's from listening to a podcast. Maybe it's a book on tape. Maybe it's reading a chapter. Maybe it's through a collaboration. Maybe it's attending a webinar. You get to choose what that is, but you want to be committed to what your growth is, and that I'm going to back up a second. So this is one of my favorite quotes from John Maxwell. If you want to solve bigger problems, you have to become bigger on the inside. So that's my why. I want to solve bigger problems for my clients. And so I need to commit to getting bigger on the inside every day. And so if you think about what's your why, what are you committing to, you're more likely to follow through and build out that routine that includes some kind of personal growth.
You just have to. There's another quote also from James Allen. I think it says, when you think it's all you grow inside, you cannot grow inside and remain the same on the outside. I'm not getting the exact quote. Right. But the thing is that you cannot commit to growing on the inside and then you remain the same on the outside. That's because true. When you commit to your personal growth on the inside, the growth on the outside will show up. So that's exactly what you are saying. The bigger that growth is on the inside, the bigger your influence will be on the outside with your clients. So now, how important is self-discipline for somebody who is setting up for success? And what are some strategies that can help them maintain that discipline? Because you know how it goes. We don't want it to be like a New Year resolution, because this is not about New Year resolution. We're talking about how successful people think, so that our listeners can set themselves up for success. So, what are the strategies for self-discipline that you can recommend for them?
So I'm a color coder. And on my calendar, I color code the different kinds of appointments that I have. So if I have a family obligation, that's purple. If I have a school function for my granddaughter, that's blue. When I make sales calls, that's green. When I have client meetings, that's yellow, right? When I have something that is non-negotiable, it's gray. So it stands out on my calendar. So if you want to show up differently, put things on your calendar that are non-negotiable and color code it a specific color. So if you're attending a webinar and it's for your personal edification, put it down, put it in a color. That's not something that you're going to move. It's not something that you're going to skip, right? Just like if you had a doctor's appointment. If you had a medical health issue going on, you're not going to reschedule that appointment. You're going to show up because it's important to you. Yes. Your personal growth should be equally as important as your physical and mental health. And so if you're scheduling time to read, if you're scheduling time to think and journal, if you're scheduling time to plan, every single one of my clients has a planning day every week. They take at least 4 hours, and that's their time to think and plan and strategize. It's that important if you want to grow a business. So whether you do a morning routine like we talked, or you modify it, you do an evening routine, you take a planning /strategy/thinking day. I have one client once a quarter here in Colorado who goes up into the mountains. She rents a cabin. She takes 2 days, once a quarter, and she goes out and she maps out what her next quarter is going to be. She thinks, she strategizes, she plans, she creates an action plan, and then she comes back and she's rejuvenated and re-energized, and she's ready to go. So it doesn't have to look the same. It can look different based on who you are individually and what your goals are. And again, I just can't say this enough, how you like to work, because you have to integrate it into how it feels normal and natural and organic for you. We can throw out ideas of this is what it could look like, but you get to pick and choose how it shows up in your life. But you have to make it non-negotiable. I'm going to share a story. I had a client who did yoga, and her yoga time was non-negotiable. And we were doing a summit, and she had people from around the world who was going to be on her summit. We had some people in Australia that we were just struggling to get on her calendar. And the only time that worked in the time frame that we had was during her yoga time.
Wow.
And she refused, even for one day, to give up that time, even though this was her summit and she had invited this guest to be on. And it drove me nuts. I was like, we need to accommodate. They're on the other side of the world. We need to make this work for them. We invited them to be a part of this. And now we're telling them no. And it's over yoga. Are you kidding me? Right? But she stayed true to her value. We didn't end up having this person on her summit, but that's how important her self-care and her mental health and her morning routine was to her. She's like, if we can't find a time, it wasn't meant to be, we'll invite her to the next event. And so it's okay to say no to other important things in order to focus on the most important thing for you. And if that's physical health and mental health and personal growth, it's okay to reschedule. It's okay to say no. And you don't have to feel guilty. You don't have to justify it to anybody. You can be true to your own core values.
Self-discipline to your goal. It's okay to say no. Wow. She invited these people, but it was encroaching on her time. I will have just said, I will miss today's yoga, there's tomorrow. But she said, no, they can change and join us when we have the next time. Stay true. It's okay to say no in order to focus on what is important to you. Look, because when we change now, then we change another one and we change another one. And what ends happening is that our calendar is messed up. Even all the color coding that we have done is all messed up. I'm guilty, because it's like you change this one, you change this one. How do I do it? Look, it's important. Self-discipline is important if you want to set yourself up for success, if you want to set your business up for success. Self-discipline is important because that is what successful people do. That is what successful people do. We are not expecting you to change your doctor's appointment because it's important to you. So why then do you want to change the time that you are giving to your own health when you are supposed to maybe take time to think, take time to walk or do whatever it is for yourself? Because it's part of what will make you successful. It is.
It is.
Wow. Thank you. You know what you have made me do now that I need to go back doing?
What's that?
And you know how our children, when they go back to, when they go visit friends and they come back and they say, look, this is what my friend's mom, whatever. And then you are like, I have been telling you the same thing forever. Now, my son would tell me, my son will just during the day, he bikes. At times he will just, during the day, during his lunch break, he will just take his bike and he will just go out, he will just bike 15 miles. And he will come back and continue. Weekends, he will just bike 100 miles. And I'm like, I don't know what is chasing you. And he said, Mom, but you can just go out. It's beautiful outside. And then you can come back and sit down. I'm like, I don't want to sweat. And then I will be on camera. I said, you can do whatever.
Yeah.
But this is what I used to do. If I am on the phone, I will walk in my kitchen and my living room, and I will wear my, I don't even know where it is, wear that, and I will do, mine is somewhere, and I will do 12,000 steps. And for my lunch break, and when I was in corporate America, when I was coaching people, the first thing that I would tell them is, please put in your lunch break, because I want them to take care of themselves.
Yeah.
Now I need to go back. I need to do that, my walking in my, so that when I have my doctor's appointment, every time I would tell her, no, I didn't do my walking. Now I will text you, I will let you know I am doing it. And I have that commitment to you that every day, even if I'm not going outside, because at times I have this itchy, we live in the country when people cut their grass, because that happens to me and people don't understand. But I can do it in the house, 12,000 steps, and I will commit to that. So thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you. Yeah. So mindset, and I know we have a few more minutes to go. You know, mindset is a key to taking action. It's so important. You know, when you are taking action, but you are in your right mindset. Now, how do successful people turn their ideas and goals into tangible results? How?
That's an excellent question. Thank you. So I think this goes back to what we talked about on the last episode of really being clear on what your goals are. Many of the clients that I work with are coaches and consultants. And so I'm going to speak to that world right now. But many people don't sell because they don't know what their offer is. And so, you know, they have this idea, I could help people by doing XYZ, but they never structure it. So then they never market it. So they never talk about it. They never share it. And so I think one of the really important things when you're looking at your revenue goals is to be clear about who you serve, the problem you solve, and what is the vehicle that you use. Is it a group coaching program? Is it a book? Is it a course? Is it your keynote speech? You know, what is that? And how do you need to get it out into the world? And if you don't have somebody who is on your marketing team, and most entrepreneurs do not, I highly urge you to get somebody that has marketing experience on your team. There are ways that you can do it. You know, again, trading services, bartering, offering discounted services. I mean, there are definitely ways that you could do it. But you need to have a marketing plan. You need to have a launch plan. You need to make sure that you've done competitive research to know what are your competitors doing, what's working, what's not working. So you can use all of that information to formulate what your offer is. Because that's the biggest reason why people don't meet their sales goals is they just don't know what the heck they're selling. And they're not sure who they're selling to. And they have no idea how to create a sales page or how to create an email campaign. They just throw up some posts on social media, cross their fingers, and say a prayer and hope that, you know, the people show up that they're hoping will show up. And, I can promise you that 99% of the time, it's not going to work out the way you hope.
No, it doesn't. I've been there. It doesn't.
I mean, I've been there too. And, I'm going to share a book with you that was a game changer in my business. It's called Copywriting Secrets. It's by a man by the name of Jim Edwards. And I make all of my clients read it. He walks you through structuring sales pages. He walks you through the different points that you need to walk people through a sale. He helps you identify an ideal client. Traffic Secrets is another book. This one's by Russell Brunson. And he talks about how to structure your webinar so you can sell from your webinar. And both of those books are great entry points for people who don't have any experience in marketing. It will at least lay a foundation and get you started. But I'm going to tell you, it's like being fire hosed. There's a lot of information in each of those books. And both of those books are books that I've studied tremendously over the past decade. They are just amazing. You can find resources for them. Go to YouTube and search them on YouTube. But if you don't have a marketing plan, those are two great ways to get started.
Good. And you know what? And if you feel that you don't have time to go into the books, we have Anza. You can reach out to her and she can really support you. And remember, as she said, we can collaborate. I think, from our last episode with you, and even now, you have mentioned something over and over again that I'm going to really look into, and I'm going to talk about that in some other episode, is that collaboration, is that barter. You can trade with somebody. We are not making use of that because most entrepreneurs don't have the real funds. When somebody says, I will charge you $1,500, and she doesn't have $1,500. What conversations can happen, instead of saying, oh, okay, bye. What other conversations can happen to say, okay, what can we do? How can I be of service to you that will take something off of this that can make it affordable for me? Don't let us just run away. Have that conversation. How can you collaborate? What skill set do you have that can be useful to that other person that the two of you can barter? And and I was thinking of something else, even for one of my potential clients. She has been wanting to work with me, and she just cannot. Every time she said, I want to work with you. Now I'll have another conversation with her because she has something else. I pay her for something else, and then she cannot pay me. So now let's barter. That would be another conversation I will have. So thank you for bringing that up. Now, as we round up,
before we move on, can I just interject a collaborative story?
Okay, please
This is something that happened over the summer. There's a networking group that I'm a part of, and a gentleman from the networking group said, hey, I've created this new thing. Will you take a look at it? I'd like to hear your feedback. And so I said, yeah, I would be happy to look at it. So I looked at it and I thought that it was great. So I wrote back to him and I said, hey, I think this is awesome. And I can see 3 ways that I can use this in my business today to help my clients. He said, I'm going to host a webinar to launch this product. Would you consider co-hosting the webinar with me? I said, I would be delighted to co-host the webinar with you. And, in my mind, it's like, okay, I'm just going to kind of facilitate questions and, do the techie side and, help things run smoothly. Well, it turned out that it was a very collaborative conversation that we had with the people who showed up on the webinar. So after the webinar, he says, hey, would you be interested in co-authoring a book with me? And I said, you know what? I would love to co-author a book with you. So we wrote a book together over the summer called the Ideal Client Map, which talks about how to get started on your marketing journey and using his tool, the Ideal Client Map. And so it was like, okay, after we were done writing the book, we had people come forward and they said, are you going to have any kind of coaching around your book? We need this.
The book.
And so we said, yeah, we'll do coaching. We're thinking about doing it in January. And they said, oh, we kind of need it now. So in August, we had two group coaching groups that came out of this book.
Out of the book.
Out of the book. And so we are working on a course that will come out of the book. We're working on a workbook to be a companion to the book. And again, collaborating. It was like we talk about marketing, about building out your personal brand. I bring that to the table. He brings the tech side to the table, building out the website, building out the cart, building out the web page, all of those kinds of things. And so we came together to collaborate on this one little thing, and it blossomed into, and out of that came a podcast that we co-host together. And so it continues to grow organically, and it's so much more than we could have done on our own. When you're thinking about collaboration, think about, how could I work with somebody who has a skill set that I don't have? How can we marry it together and create an offer? And this was just serendipity. We knew who each other were. We both serve a similar avatar and target market, and it just made sense. And the more we work together, the more possibilities we see opening up. And it can create a really wonderful, strong revenue stream for you. So you don't, even though you're in business by yourself, doesn't mean you have to be in business alone. You can partner with another entrepreneur and create a joint venture and share revenue. You can both contribute and save money on creating the different parts of what you're doing. And so there isn't out-of-pocket cost to create it, because you're both bringing your specific skill set together
to the table. Yes. Wow. Amazing. I mean, just imagine that you agreed to support another entrepreneur. I mean,
it's nothing like collaboration over competition. There was
no competition. Yes, there was nothing like, oh, I will go through it, but you have to pay me something. I remember, one of my other businesses, I wrote something, and I just wanted one woman who is like a senior person in that business to just read through. I wanted her to read through and just give me a feedback. She said, oh, you're going to pay for it. And I said, okay. I said, yes, I'll pay for it. So she sent me a link to make a payment before she started. So, and it's okay. It's okay. I paid. But imagine if you had asked for payment, maybe that would have stopped what came after.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Because it became like a transaction.
Right.
But you made it collaborative, and then it opened more doors because we have more things that we can do. I mean, together. So amazing. Yeah, amazing.
And that
So,
brings up another point that I think is
yes.
really important to bring out is that sales should not be transactional.
Mm-hmm.
Sales are
Yeah.
built on relationship. And when
Yes.
you focus on building relationship and adding value to others, things like this collaborative experience happen organically. You start to
Yes.
attract those kinds of opportunities into your life and business.
Yes. Thank you so much. As we round up, we encourage you to don't forget to look for the book. It's by Dr. John C. Maxwell, How Successful People Think. As we head into the new year,
Mm-hmm.
what's one major shift in thinking that you believe would profoundly impact someone's success?
So I think one of the things that I see women entrepreneurs deal with is feeling that they're not worthy or they don't deserve success. And I think that if they could shift their mindset to say, I am worthy and I do deserve success, I think that would change their perspective and it would give them confidence and courage to take the steps that they need to take. It would allow them to bet on themselves, to take a risk on themselves and say, I can do this. Yeah.
Wow, that is powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Because if one has a mindset of, I am not worthy of success,
Mm-hmm.
no one has ever been successful in my family,
Right.
no one has ever done this. If one has that mindset, no matter what you do, success
Mm-hmm.
will not come.
Well, it won't because we can only achieve what we believe. And if we, at our root, don't believe it, our brain is going to manufacture things that will sabotage us. Because if
Yes.
we believe it's not true, our brain is going to help us see reasons why and see ways that it can detract us from staying on task and being focused. And so it's really important to remember that we're in charge of what our brain thinks. Our brain doesn't always tell us the truth left to its own devices. And we learn to recognize that and correct it. And when it comes up and says, you're not worthy, you're not skilled in this area, you don't deserve this, you need to say, you know what, that's a lie. You know, a little judgmental voice, go sit over in the corner. You're not serving me today because I do deserve success. I do deserve
Yes.
to. I am skilled. I am empowered. You know, whatever those words are for you. In John Maxwell's book, The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth, one of the exercises he recommends people do is to make a list of 100 things that are amazing and awesome about yourself. And most people get to 20 or 25 and they're like, yeah, I'm out of things to say.
Exactly.
So I invite you all today to make that list and continue to add to it. So when you're having negative self-talk, you've got this whole arsenal of things to combat it with. And you can say, oh, that's not true. I am worthy. I am confident. I am skilled. I am experienced. I am resourced. You know, I am courageous. I am successful. You know, all of those things, because when we hold ourselves accountable, right? When we empower ourselves, Brene Brown is one of my favorite people. And I love one of the stories that she shares. And that is she was traveling and speaking for one of her books. And some of the moms at her kids' school were shaming her for leaving her kids with her husband and going and traveling and having him care for them. And she just went down this whole shame spiral, feeling really badly about herself. And she went home, she went into her closet and she cried and she called her best friend. And she said, I need you to say this to me. And her friend's like, okay. And she repeated the phrase that Brene needed to hear. We need to be able to do that for ourselves. When we feel ourselves spiraling, we need to stop and say, wait, that's not true. And you have your own little mantra or your list of 10 things that you can empower yourself. And you need to have that accountability partner or that coach that you can in contact with and say, I'm having a really rough day. I need you to tell me XYZ. And they're there and they're able to help combat that and get your stinking thinking under control, right?
Yes. Yeah. Remember one of the episodes I talked about, your power pose. You need to do that power pose. Go in front of your mirror, do that power pose and speak life into you. Speak those things that are true about yourself and believe it. Don't believe the lie. But the lie will come, but you have to combat it with something true. Even if you are not seeing it, believe it about yourself. Oh, you are amazing. Anza, you are amazing. And I'm looking forward to how I can collaborate with you. So let's be thinking about what we can do together. I feel it, and I feel it. I feel it. So as we round up, she just launched a new book. There will be a PDF. She has graciously sent us a link of the PDF, and I want you to, go there and read it and reach out to her. Don't do this alone. If you want to be successful, what successful people do is that they don't do things alone. They reach out to others. She reaches out to people. I reach out to people, so you can reach out to us and let us support you. So go into that link, read that book, reach out to her, let her support you. She can give you more insights on how to level up on your life, on your career, on your business. And this is what she does. She has a lot of experience, personal experiences, and also experiences from her clients. And did I tell you she wrote 12 books already? So there are experiences there. And I will also suggest that you join my accountability partner support group so that we can support you as you focus on your specific goals for the new year. We're going to use the 12-week year method to support each other. Remember, we cannot do this alone. So let's support you, and we'll see you in the next episode. Thank you for tuning in to Create Your Own Economy with Bunmi Ajibade. I hope this episode gave you the clarity and inspiration to take the next step in your entrepreneurial journey. If you're a corporate professional feeling stuck or unfulfilled, and you are thinking about starting your own business, but find yourself asking, how? What, where, who, or when? I invite you to download my special curated guide, Transition from Corporate Professional to Entrepreneur, the 10-step guide for success. This guide is designed to make your transition smoother and less stressful. Afterward, schedule a clarity call to map out your personalized success path. We invite you to write a review, like, and share this episode with anyone who needs this information. See you in the next episode.